All right, it's Josh with Client Alchemist, and for those of you who don't know, I am a bit of a ESPN radio junkie, and a bit of a sports junkie. Now, I'm not as much of a sports junkie as I was in my teens and early 20s, but I do still enjoy sports a great deal. I think it's the best reality TV there is. That's the word I was looking for. You know, there's all these reality TV shows, and I think sports is the best reality TV there is. One of my favorite radio shows is Mike and Mike. I listen to it, at least for some portion, most mornings. And the other day, I think Monday, they had on Joe Maddon, who is the Cubs manager. And for those of you who don't know, don't follow sports, the Cubs have made it to the World Series. They played Game 1 last night, and they've made it to the World Series for the first time in 71 years, and they're trying to win for the first time since 1908. It's almost, it's ridiculous to even fathom. And they had Joe Maddon on, and the whole segment was great. I love Joe Maddon. I think he's just a really cool guy. He's a great manager. And there was a part of the interview that I wanted to share with all of you, and then give you sort of the takeaway for us in real estate, and how you can apply this bit of wisdom or mindset way of thinking that Joe Maddon shares. So I'm going to play this audio. Hopefully it comes through, that you can hear it okay, and then we'll talk about it. And sort of wrap
Mike
that
and
up.
Joe Maddon, the manager of the Cubs, and going back to the beginning of the season when the expectations for this team were extraordinarily high, you have embraced that from day one. You have embraced the pressure. So now take us to a different kind of pressure when you're trailing 2-1 in the National League Championship Series and you have been shut out in consecutive games. What was the tone? What were the conversations with the players? How did your team embrace that pressure and turn it to where it became an offensive explosion basically from that point forward?
I didn't say anything. I mean that sincerely. I didn't say anything. I don't do that normally during the course of the season, so part of my tactics did not change at all in the postseason. Our coaches went about their business as normal. Of course, we had not been hitting. We saw a great pitching performance by Kershaw in our place, and then Rich Hill was also very good there. So you have to consider what would just happen here. I mean, we just saw two really good pitching performances like you do during the normal regular season, and you eventually come back from that. And we did. So I just chalked it up to the fact that we saw good pitching. Stay with the plan. Don't change anything. I changed the lineup for one day. I just inverted Rizzo and Zobrist, and that was primarily the difference there. But we came back. Like I said, I've mentioned it more than one time. Zobrist is gone. It's incredible. You talk about the butterfly effect. That occurred, and then we got two easy knocks and a ground ball to second. And then Addison hits a home run, and all of a sudden we're back to normal. So that's how quickly baseball games can turn, and that's definitely how quickly a 7-game series can turn.
Joe, you're so well known for, as Greeny just said, keeping the pressure off the players with things that you do or things that you bring into the clubhouse or any of the things that you have done there. How about
2-1, I was suggesting zoo animals.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I was on the air saying what they need today is zoo animals.
But for you in that private moment, you're the manager of a team that's trying to do something that hasn't been done since 1908. Do you feel pressure?
I'm going to say something, and you might not believe it, but it's all about the process. I just got to trust the process at that moment. What got you there? What have you done? Let's just say this year, for instance, what have you done throughout your entire professional career to get you to that point? So why change or why rely on something else? And don't become outcome oriented. If you want to feel pressure, and if you want to feel expectations, then just think about winning, and just think about the outcome, and you're going to feel all that stuff. And if you could otherwise just really focus on moments and what's the next right thing to do, and do that often enough, eventually you win.
So there it is. A little bit longer than maybe necessary, but the key things I want to point out here is when he said, trusting the process, not focusing on outcomes, and knowing that if you do the right things often enough, the right outcomes will take care of themselves. So how does this, why does this matter? What does this even mean to you, our pro members, and getting results for you? Well, we talk about this, maybe not often enough, but we have a process that we have found time and time again that works. And for those that trust the process and follow the process and focus on the right actions, consistent right actions over and over and over and over and over, the right outcomes will happen naturally. Taking it back to what Joe was talking about. They got shut out 2 games in a row in the NLCS. They're down 2-1. He's got all the pressure, seemingly all the pressure in the world. He's trying to take the Cubs back to the World Series for the first time in 71 years. He's trying to win a World Series for the first time in over 100 years. And the reason why they were able to overcome a 2-1 series deficit and get to the World Series, now I realize they're down 1-0 after last night, but the reason why he was able to stay loose and not be affected by the pressure, and therefore his players were unaffected, is because he was trusting the process, focusing on doing the right things in the right way, knowing that the right outcomes will come out, instead of focusing on the outcome, winning, and therefore getting lost in that and feeling the pressure of that. And we see very, unfortunately, too often through support and through email and so forth, where people get lost in the outcome and forget about the process. Now, if you're new, or if you want a refresher, or you're listening to this and you're not even a pro member yet, the best way that we have come up with, or one of the best ways that we have come up with to share with you the process, is the book that we just finally got wrapped up. And if you're watching the video, you can see a link on the screen. We'll have a link below this video and in the chat where you can grab this book. It's called Attract 4 Simple Steps to Engaging Your Ideal Client with Zero Prospecting. So that's in that book, we outline the process that we believe and we have found to work time and time again for attracting clients to you without prospecting or cold calling or door knocking and that kind of stuff. And a process that you can focus on instead of focusing on the outcomes. I need to get a new client today, right? That when you focus on the process and you can take consistent, imperfect, right actions, the outcomes will sort of take care of themselves. So I hope some of you got some benefit from that. This is going to become a regular sort of segment with Client Alchemist, and we look forward to sharing these kind of tips and tricks with all of you and sort of mindset concepts to help you, get better in some way, shape, or form in some area of your life. Because this applies, this is also the same message, and this is the last point I'll make on this particular topic, and then I'll move on. I coach lots of different sporting teams. My kids are involved in lots of different sports, and they love it, and I love coaching, and this is the exact same message that I share with them. Let's focus on the process. Let's focus on, and we even have a whole blog post on this. Let's focus on having a good attitude, concentrating on the task at hand, and giving our best effort. And if we do those things more often than not, the outcome will take care of itself. Now, will we have times where the outcome isn't what we desired? Yes, but if we continue to do the right things in the right manner, in the right order, more often than not, the outcomes will be positive. So, with that said, let's go ahead and we'll move on to our regularly scheduled office hours programming. I'm going to unmute Jeff. Stop